What more could you ask for on this glorious, glorious day? A huge 18,000 soldier battle in Lord of the Rings. I mean, what is not to love? As you guys can see, we are deep in the desert as the forces of Gondor make their way into it, ready to conquer and ravage and slaughter. So as I said, we have a pretty large battle, 18,000 soldiers on the battlefield, Gondor on one side, and then we have kind of an alliance of evil factions on the other. Starting off with the goblins, we have some of the trolls in the background. That's going to make up the right-hand side. We then have a force from the Easterlings who have made their way over here, supported by some puny old goblin archers. That looks hilarious. In the center of the battlefield, we do have some Haradrim as well, so the tribesmen of the deep south are making their way forward. And then finally on the extreme flank, we do have one of the Branzu Last Hearth factions as well, which is really cool. This is a sub mod that adds in a ton of other units, and we'll be able to see these guys making their way into battle, looking very nice. Kind of got that feel to them, definitely an Eastman, and also some baby Mumakil as well. One day we will be getting full Mumakil in the Last Breath mod, but right now we don't. I also believe as well Gondor are supported by a separate faction as well. Is it Doamroth they have, or is it a different faction entirely? I'm pretty sure we're not four Gondorian factions. Oh yeah, here we go, we're not. We do also have a force from Rohan as well, so the alliance between these two proud nations still stands. So Rohan is going to be aiding, and even King Theoden is helping out as well. You can see him right here with his awesome custom model. So as you can see, it does look like Gondor are taking up very much a defensive position, using the mountain to kind of split their forces and anchor their army in two. One of the Gondorian forces will hold the line here, kind of playing quite passive with some support from extra allies making their way up and then going to be reinforcing that. Whereas the rest of the forces are going to hold the right-hand side pretty effectively. They've got Fountain Guard, I believe Citadel Guard as well in this formation, so it's a very, very strong force. We've got some soldiers up on the mountain ridge, which will be obviously more than adequate enough to push back the enemy, and you guys can already see that formation stretching pretty far off, and it's going to be up to the forces of evil to break that. However, they have the capability to do that with the Mumakil, with their elite heavy shot cavalry, and obviously that heavy army with the numbers as well. It's going to be hard pressed to kind of keep this formation under control. But with the high level of cavalry they have on this right-hand side, with some Knights of the Silver Swan and also the horses from Rohan as well, they should be pretty well off at pushing them back. But again, as you can see, the lines are throwing their way forward, and here we go. The first engagement is about to kick off as what I believe is the Easterlings are making their way in. The Gondorians form that shield wall, prepared to hold the line. As there we go, the first little clash. Quite not as epic as I was expecting, honestly. I was hoping for a bit more of oomph there. Here we go. That's the charge I wanted to see, as the Haradrim clash in against the Gondorian shield walls. And you guys can see them even over on this side. Oh, we have some Black Númenóreans fighting hard on over here. So these are the elite Black Númenóreans that the Haradrim have access to, and the Archer Fire coming down. And also a huge elephant charge just rampaging through the ranks and diving in onto the Pelagian Marines, who are lobbing their javelins off and actually taking down a bunch of these. Oh my god, that guy got absolutely flung there by the elephant. The arrow fire is focusing down. Bring it down, bring it down, bring it down. But the elephants are running rampage right now, and this is one of the the strongest ways to use elephants in the Dawnless Days, is just to focus all your missiles down on them. They are pretty resistant. However, if you can bog them down with infantry, get their missiles in, you'll see them dropping down pretty dramatically. But a nice little charge in the back, up to 200 kills on them right now. Yeah, the players are using these elephants extremely well, keeping them on the move, not letting them get pinned down, and really enabling these Black Númenóreans, this elite shock infantry unit, just to crush through what they're fighting right now, and they're doing a great job of it. On the left-hand side, we haven't really got much in the way of engagements. We've got some cavalry moving around. It seems like the Knights of the Silver Swan did engage a tad on the Goblin side, picking out a few of them, and these cave trolls are knocking them down. But for the most part, this left flank is really just holding him. I think this works in favor of the forces of evil, because they've kind of committed barely anything over here, and these are Goblin soldiers right now, whereas the main fight is over here, and they're committing more and more of the rest of the Goblin forces, into this side, so they've almost deceived the forces of good, who have a lot of expensive units here, just doing nothing. The reserves are now being committed, though. Much needed reserves are being committed into this side. I think that's Rohan and a few other Gondorian reinforcements. And if we get down deep into the battle line, you guys can see indeed the soldiers currently fighting some of the elite shock infantry here as well, pushing in against the Gondorian shield wall, which does seem like it's holding relatively well. But there is just so much pressure, and as I said, unless them reserves get there on that flank, they're going to be able to really kind of just swoop up. And I feel like there's a lot of reserves still left for Evil, the Evil side. And you got some more elephants moving in the distance. You guys can see that. The Gondorians are fighting, but their numbers are dwindling. And yeah, look at that, the sheer amount of soldiers here pushing in. I mean, oh my god, there is a lot going on here. The cavalry moving in, though, on this left-hand side over the mountain. Immediately, though, pinned down. The men of Rohan getting swamped by spearmen. And we also have a unit of cavalry from the Haradrim Lancers moving their way up. Going to try and pin these guys on the mountainside and try and take out some of the extremely valuable Rohirrim. These horse riders who have been bred from birth to mount a horse, being sent back across the mountainside. And it's really not looking good for the forces of good. I'm going to say that right now. They are pinned up against it. They've had to commit some of their elite soldiers. We've got Citadel Guard right here. But I'm just really, really nervous about this conclave, because you can already start to see these gaps appearing. And if they can break down any of these Citadel Guard that they're fighting, it just opens up their back really, really effectively for anything to come in and clean it up. And I don't think the Gondorians can really handle it. Yeah, look at this. We've got a bunch of these Goblin Heavy Archers. The Goblin Heavy Archers aren't exactly anything special. They are very, very weak in the sense of, like, getting kills, and obviously not like the elves. But the thing is about them is they just have a lot of shots to fire down, and that does gradually wear down a force, and they're ultra cheap as well. So using this force effectively will be really effective at just pinning down. You can see the reserves falling up, and oh, here we go, a big cavalry charge right there by the Gondorians right into the side of this expensive shock infantry. Bloody beautiful. The thing is, though, this unit of cavalry has committed itself in. It's probably getting its money's worth, but every single archer on the side of Evil are immediately turning their arrow and their vision to this side and just peppering. You can just see the constant stream of arrows flying in. The archers, the tribesmen as well, lobbing in them huge darts, and even with a nice little countercharge here, which is able to get some decent impact damage. They're going to be going down. That's a unit of cavalry falling to the forces of Evil. Oh, the right-hand side does have a little bit of an engagement. It does seem like Gondor sees their opportunity now, which is really important. Because these goblins will be, like, whipped apart. If, you know, the longer they stay in combat, but quite more quickly the goblins are going to die. And it's up to this force on the left-hand side to make quick work of this. The goblins have committed more men to that other portion of the battlefield in a very, very smart move as well, using this weaker force to kind of keep these Gondorians here, which are way more expensive, way more elite, and focus the majority of your force elsewhere, has really come into providence. Also, a lot of arrow fire on this side isn't going to be as well supported as more reserves committed, and this is going to allow the trolls to really get stuck in as well. Granted, these are just the cave trolls and not the Olokai. They're going to come flying in, and oh, this is a perfect engagement right now, warning off the Knights of the Silver Swan, and some of the trolls even be able to maybe get a strike or two off on them. Oh, it looks like they're just about to get off. The arrow fire immediately turns on the trolls. But yeah, you really want to get your trolls on the cavalry. They will win that battle all the time. They kind of act as elephants in that sense. Oh, and we have an absolutely humongous cavalry fight on the right-hand side. Just look at it. So many horses, and this is bad for Gondor. The Mumakil again. As I said, Mumakil, elephants and trolls are perfect at killing horses. It's kind of what they are, like, their specialty is. So if you can get any of them units in, they just do so good against the cavalry. And the thing is as well, they're just perfectly met to fight these guys as well, because generally when you use your elephants in that way, the flanks are going to be very rarely supported by missile fire, by Pelasgian Marines and Javelin throwers, which are obviously also so good at killing the elephants and the trolls. And yeah, you can see them able to get stuck in. And it's just a good value target because they do so much damage, I guess. More cavalry splitting off, but this is bad. The archers being brought over, but yeah, they're going to try their best to kind of scare the elephants with them fire arrows, but I'm not sure how effective that is going to be. We are also getting more reinforcements as well, and this is bad. If the goblin spear warriors can help out in this, which they already have, yeah, this is bad. Using the numbers to really commit in. I don't know about the forces of good. How many men do they have left? So they are down to 5,000 soldiers. That 2,000 man slash orc slash goblin slash whatever gap is really, really sticking in. And we're going to need to see some reinforcements, I think. We're going to need to see this left flank win, and we need to see it win quickly. Speaking on that, though, we are getting a nice little cavalry charge here, and it doesn't look like the micro is here as this unit of Bane of the Steppe getting absolutely run up by Knights of the Silver Swan. Granted, the countercharge does come in, and depending on how much damage comes in, we're going to have to see. Also, we lost a general as well. Ooh, one of the Gondorian generals getting absolutely swarmed on the extreme right flank. Not good whatsoever. Yeah, this flank is going to collapse momentarily, I think. And already the cavalry can start to come in, hit these back lines, go and reinforce this. And if this goes down, that is not good because that's going to come flying in and just wrap up. However, the Gondorian infantry has a one in the center. More reinforcements able to then be committed up and go get stuck in onto these more elite shock infantry. The Eastling legionaries are now being hit hard and surrounded. That's going to hurt their morale pretty heavily, and they need to win this infantry fight quite quickly. But there you go, the cavalry charge there by the general coming in, breaking that, and they're going to immediately go after these archers, immediately move in, even maybe go after King Theoden himself, who is now rushing back as quickly as possible, trying his hardest to find a use for himself as the cavalry comes flying in. Not good whatsoever. And yeah, if the longer this cavalry gets held up here, the worse it's going to be. If I was them, honestly, I'd maybe just commit my trolls in, or just bring my trolls in like this, because there's no reserves left to stop you. So you could do either or right now. There's a lot of goblin archers here as well, going to be probably trying to mount this hill. And the Gondorians are just under so much pressure right now to hold the line. The Fountain Guard being committed in, the last ditch of reserves being thrown forward. And I've got to say, I really am enjoying this battle so far. This is a really, really good one because it looks like both sides are utilizing their reserves pretty well. Instead of just having one long line, we do have reserves that are being committed when we need them to be committed. And that's always awesome to see, rather than just one long, thin line. And here we can see the men of Rohan fighting hard. I mean, their king is fighting hard, so why shouldn't they? And we get a nice little overview of the battlefield right now. We can get kind of a 360 view of it. And yeah, that right flank has broken. And these guys are going to come crushing in. Some of the Gondorian spearmen are setting up here as like I guess a reserve line. But yeah, it's not going to be looking good. And there's just so many elite Eastling soldiers. And oh my god, the trolls are now doing what I suggested happening earlier. They're going to go after the archers. They are going down quickly, though, and that's one of the problems of the cave trolls, is they are very vulnerable to missile fire. Unlike the Olokai, who have that, I think, 60 armor value, rather than these guys who have like 20. They find it much harder to ignore the missile fire. But the goblins don't get access to Olokai, they just get access to the cave trolls. But they should be able to make quick work of these Aphelion Rangers, but the rest of the boys are going to turn up, levy their bows, and yeah, see these guys taken down pretty easily, if I do say so myself. The Goblin Archers are being brought over again to probably try and focus down these guys, but the Gondorians are winning? Are they winning this fight against the Goblins? I think so. Even being whittled down, I mean, I say that, a lot of these Gondorians are whittling down. They've been really kind of like focused. Another Gondorian general going down as well. And oh my god, look at how beautiful some of these Eastling units are. They look amazing, they really do. The last hope for Gondor is really this cavalry, who have been able to beat back the enemy forces on the left-hand side and are now charging in. The goblins, though, are firing volley after volley. And as I said, these goblins don't do a lot of damage. They just have a mass of arrow fire. You can see it finding its mark onto these Knights of the Silver Swan, who are already pretty wounded. That cavalry charge coming in is going to be big, but as long as the other guys can still shoot, that's going to be important. And almost instantly breaking the trolls quite quickly, reforming their line, getting stuck in. And yeah, here we go. The goblins are now breaking. This is big. This is going to kind of flip the numbers back in their side. Yeah, a nice little rear charge right there, down to 2,000 soldiers. The forces of evil are running out, and the Gondorians are now reforming. I think winning this left flank now by winning that cavalry fight is going to maybe turn the battle back in their favor, unless these trolls can really kill them. Yeah, look at that. All the goblins just breaking, that rear charge being so catastrophic for them. We are going to be able to probably kill King Theoden, though. Can we find him on the battlefield? He'll be here somewhere. Trying to look for a man without a helmet, because you know he's a main character when he doesn't have a helmet on. I'm trying to find him, but I can't. I think it's only a matter of time until the Rohan army goes. But as I said, like, there isn't really that much left now. Theoden might already be dead as well, down to 19 soldiers now. I mean, this is big, though. Winning this is pretty big. Even with the trolls getting stuck in now, there's not really any arrow fire to kill them. So they're going to be able to grind away quite nicely. But with only 2 minutes left of this battle, and the numbers dwindling, the generals dwindling, I just don't think Gondor have it left in them, but maybe they do. I don't know. The balance of power is saying one thing. And yeah, there you go. Theoden is now broken. So there's only one general left, and yeah, there's just barely any infantry here. The Gondorians have next to no men left, and I think that's going to seal their fate as we get another unit of shock infantry now charging in to help deal with these garrison of the Hornburg archers. Yeah, and with that, we are just seeing, yeah, the infantry breaking, and then, you know, even on this left-hand side, the goblins really rallied with the support of them trolls. I'm so surprised they were able to win that flank, and there you go. We're going to see the end of the Gondorians. They just don't have the morale without the generals, with the shock infantry getting stuck in. Yeah, they just don't really have it in them. The Fountain Guard, though, standing almost to the end, but being surrounded from every side, and they do go ahead and concede it. So a valiant attack right there by the Gondorians, and I really appreciate as well battles. Normally when people send in battles, they send in battles where they did really well, and that was a loss by the guys who send it in. So that's, you know, really awesome. It kind of makes it so that people just aren't sure who's going to win, and I very much appreciate it. I also really like the way that people brought in reserves to the fight. It wasn't just like one long thin line, which is always nice, and was some nice maneuvering as well. So big shout out to all the players. It was a very exciting battle. If you guys want to see more Rise of Mordor on the channel, be sure to go and drop a like and a comment down below. That's kind of how I determine if these videos are worth doing. I don't do as much of this stuff anymore. I really should probably try and do some more Rise of Mordor battles on the channel. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and fish out.